Hello everyone and welcome to today's Stocks and Crypto YouTube Charts video. I am No FOMO Charts. Today is Friday, March 20, 2026. It's about 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome everyone. This is a swing trading and investing YouTube Charts video. This is actually the second time I'm recording this video. So here we go again. Stock earnings releases upcoming next week. We have Chewy, GameStop, KB Home, and Carnival Cruise. USA economic data, we have manufacturing PMI, services PMI, manufacturing index, crude oil inventories, and natural gas storage. We also have unemployment claims, consumer sentiment, and inflation expectations. Recent news, USA Federal Reserve, the FOMC, held interest rates steady. They raised their inflation outlook for 2026 and only estimated one interest rate cut this year due to all the bad data and news coming out right now. Iran-Israel war continues. Strait of Hormuz is still in conflict. Some countries have negotiated to allow their vessels to pass. However, the USA government and Trump administration said they will deploy ground troops into Iran. SMCI was charged recently this week by the FBI for smuggling $2.5 billion worth of USA AI technology into China, including NVIDIA GPUs, and this happened last year in spring 2025. Their stock price is obviously down. Stocks and crypto had a negative sell-off reaction this past week. It's in support price discovery mode. Many stocks are downtrending. Also, last week's PPI inflation data was too hot at 0.7%. The estimate was only 0.3%. And word on the street is that food prices are going to increase for the next month. Unfortunately for consumers in the USA, including myself. Chart events, there's a lot here. I'll just say that price is downtrending for most stock indexes and closed below their 200 EMA. However, the notable alert is that SPY ETF, the RSI, crossed below 30 oversold. That has not happened for the past year. So we're in the beginning of a potential bull bounce. USO oil price is still uptrending and volatile. It's actually consolidating on an hourly basis. It's dependent on war event and fundamental news. The weekly RSI is overbought at 85. So I've been already out of this trade. I'm just not interested in very, very crowded trades. I think the price is too high, but it's really dependent on the news. Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin and crypto held their support levels and are attempting a longer-term uptrend price bounce attempt. I have a lot of charts to show because all my alerts are just flashing at me because of market crash. So price sell-off is triggering my RSI below 30 oversold alerts, including, I'll show these later, SPY, S&P 500, Boeing, gold, Ford Motor, consumer staples, consumer discretionary ETF, real estate, materials, healthcare. It's all related to inflation and war news. So because price is downtrending, it's also already triggering my potential daily TTM squeeze momentum, meaning we could have a bullish bounce on Google, Amazon, Broadcom, AMD, Robinhood, IREN, QBTS, and RGTI at some point in the next 1 to 2 months. Note, technical price charts can be overridden by breaking news and fundamental changes at any time. News is so important right now. And now let me make sure I 100% switch to the charts. Looking at the charts now. SPY, S&P 500 ETF. Price is downtrending and we reached our 236 level. That's what I was saying earlier. We lost the 200 EMA support level 656. That's now our resistance. We crashed down on Friday to the 648.57 level. The only good thing is, wow, I haven't seen this in a while. The RSI hit the 30 level. That has not happened. Oversold beginning conditions since March 2025. That was 1 year ago because of tariffs. So what I believe is going to happen if it's just pure technicals is that we might attempt to further sell off, but at some point we could get a bounce. That's why, because I'm a mostly long only trader, we could get a bounce. However, even if we get that bounce, I have to make sure I'm not falling into the trap of buying the top of the market, because if we zoom out, it's actually the top, it was the top of the market. So if we're going to make that weekly lower high, that's definitely possible right after 50 EMA at 648, could bounce. Anyone trying to short could get destroyed, or short squeeze, I mean, up to 667, somewhere around there, maybe reverse to mean 674, and then we could further try another crash. QQQ is downtrending. We had that double top on the weekly. Triple top was warning about this for several weeks. So I was not buying tech stocks, just waiting. RSI is not oversold. Stochastic is oversold. Price is below the 200 EMA, 587 range, below the S2 pivot point. Super trend is red, downtrending. The only good thing is here, we're below the linear regression zone. Interesting. Oversold conditions. If also, let's put up an anchored VWAP just so we have our bearings compared to the tariff low. So let's get the anchored VWAP and put that right at the 416 level. I'm using 2 to 3 times standard deviation. This is our first standard deviation, second, third, so it's not extreme. But we are reaching anchored VWAP. That's why you could just kind of feel it on the charts if you're a technical analyst. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like some kind of support is going to happen, and then now we can see it. 577, we might have a reaction. 577 to 570, potential oversold bounce. That's what I'm looking for. However, what could cancel that idea is if billion-dollar hedge funds and institutions keep pressing the sell button. That would negate that setup. Dow Jones. Dow Jones ETF 200 EMA was lost for several days. Dow Jones RSI below 30. As a technical indicator trader, that's what I like to see, because that's oversold conditions, the beginning of one of my strategies. So, but the trap is buying too early, right? What if this is the inverse of my strategies? What if this is actually not the end? So that's why I'm saying it's the beginning. If we get a little bounce to 467, will it keep crashing or not? I really need to see double bottoms, upside down head and shoulders, uptrend reversals before I try to enter in that spot. So this is me being very aggressive swing trader. IWM, we actually lost the 200 EMA. It's holding above the support of 242 right now. IWM not oversold on RSI. So we're going to see if we're going to get that weekly lower high bounce potential. If we bounce up to 249, we could still crash back down. US oil at the highest price of all time for the past 5 years. We recovered all the COVID problems. If you think about that, if you remember that massive crash, that was massive in COVID levels. We recovered all the way back to October 2018 prices. We broke out of a massive 4-year consolidation, which was about 25%. We had almost double the target since the breakout, almost. So for me, personally, I do not like heavily crowded trades. So if everybody's trying to buy oil, I'm going to sell and exit. That's just me. I'm not going to follow the fundamental war news, because that could just be people going back and forth. The only thing is, maybe the next time I'll come back to play oil is if we have a EMA touch. So we are uptrending right now. It's just, I want to see, can we get like a 50 EMA? Because on a 4-hour, it's actually consolidating to the side. If it doesn't break out above 125, I know we're going to have a problem. And then maybe I'll try to play a little bounce somewhere down here at 111 or 100 or 90. I just don't like chasing crowded trades. Gold actually lost their support line. It was symmetrical triangle and then started to downtrend because the inflation data was so bad. We hit that 236 level, 410. see if it's going to pull back down to 388 support. However, RSI is beginning to get oversold. So it hasn't been oversold since October 2023. It's pretty serious. We're going to see if it holds. If not, we could keep getting gaps down up to like 385 or 360. But at some point, it's going to bounce. So I'm watching GLD. But remember, this is me being an aggressive trader. I don't want to invest in that. That looks bad to me, right? It's oversold investment. But I want to invest in something that's uptrending, that's downtrending. So don't want to buy a falling knife too much. All right. Let's flash look at some of those RSI oversold alerts. And they're flashing at me because RSI is crossing 30. That does not mean it's time to always buy. If I'm playing one of my quant strategies or a technical indicator strategy, then yes, I do need to buy, but I have to hold for a very long time. It could be 30 days, 40 days, 60 days, sometimes 1 year. So that's not a good all-in strategy for me right now. The golden cross that we had last year was better strategy to all in right there. This is more of just a trade. I'm thinking about doing a small trade. And the strategy would be if it's low Bollinger Band cross and low RSI, then I buy and hold that regardless of whatever happens on the chart and whatever the news says to me. And then I sell either at a high RSI point or when the Bollinger Band, the price pierces back above the Bollinger Band. That's just like two common strategies I combined. A very, very common strategy for trading algorithmically. But like what I'm saying before is even if I get that bounce, it could crash back down on me. So this time might be slightly different. But let's flash look at all the ones that are oversold. Boeing oversold price after a downtrend. Ideally, I want to see double bottoms, upside down head and shoulders, or sustained recovery, and then really good earnings. That's how we get the best trades. Gold ETF also oversold beginning of it. Ford Motor oversold after having some fundamental problems, but you can see some of that momentum is building. XLP 200 EMA rejection, we lost that, but it's RSI oversold. XLY consumer discretionary, this is all probably because of inflation problems. Downtrending, risk of death cross here, institutions just selling off. RSI is oversold, however. XLB materials, 200 EMA support zone test, RSI oversold. XLV lost the 200 EMA, RSI oversold test. And sometimes on these sector ETFs, it could crash pretty significantly. So that's what I'm saying. 6%, 7% back in tariff crash, it crashed 12%. So the average is about 8%. So maybe the bottom here would be something like 135. That's why I don't want to buy too early, meaning I'm not all in on these trades that I'm showing. It's if I needed to get to a real significant level of value and see massive momentum. I'm just seeing the very, very beginning start stages of our oversold setups. Let's go to TTM squeeze. So now I'm focusing more on momentum plays like MACD, histogram, and TTM squeeze. So it's not all about price action. So Google, yes, there is an ominous, scary looking head and shoulders here, but that's happening right above EMAs. Short term, there's a potential upside down head and shoulders. So I need to see if this is going to crash one more time, pierce down to 269 or 280, because sometimes we get the flash crash down here, then that momentum's ready to go for bull setup. Right now, it's not really perfect. Amazon, it's death crossed while showing momentum. So probably what's going to happen is like in tariffs, I need to see double momentum before I buy Amazon. So I'm not buying just yet. AVGO, unfortunately, just can't keep it up, the price. This head and shoulders price pattern consolidating sideways, holding above 307. I'm not seeing massive momentum. This could actually squeeze to the downside. It could actually crash squeeze. So sometimes squeeze will tell me like actually it's going to go down. It's not always bull setups. AMD, golden cross, but still right above the 200 EMA. Need to see if we hold above 194. Then maybe we could have a little bounce up to 217. But again, it needs to be massive crash. Then I'll buy that really, really oversold level. Robinhood, death cross, that upside down head and shoulders from last week was no good. So we're negative 53% approximately from all-time highs. If the death cross is real and this is like a crypto type of crash, low, high, I'm expecting to crash down to like $50. Then that will stochastic low, give me one more chance at an RSI oversold and momentum play. IREN holding above the 200 EMA above $38. I'm starting to see double momentum, so I'm watching this one a little bit more closely. I'm seeing kind of this, not quite a descending triangle. It's more like a symmetrical triangle to me. QBTS, everyone hates quantum computers right now because nothing's happening. We have the death cross, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and see if we crash. So if we crash down to $10, then we get that oversold. And then if after that could be my momentum play. But still, this is a very highly speculative. Quantum computers just lost their momentum and sentiment after everybody realized, actually, we need AI hardware. And so those stocks have been holding up, such as SanDisk and Western Digital. But it's just this what's flashing at me right now. Even though it's death crossed on RGTI, starting to see the early stages of potential reversal, but it looks like RGTI wants to crash on me, right? So that's why I don't always tell everybody these alerts every single week, because it needs to have confluence. Meaning, just because I have a TTM squeeze momentum that's pointing up, it's actually death crossed. The better TTM squeeze was 9 months ago, not just the squeeze, but the momentum. See, we're uptrending plus MACD momentum plus stochastic oversold. So this could actually squeeze to the downside and crash. It's the context is different. It's very different right now. So I'm probably on half of those. I'm not eager to buy. Maybe I'll buy like Google or Amazon just because they're really big names. But some of the speculative names, I need to see massive support and reversal signals. It's just not happening right now. And that's the reality of being a trader. It's not up to my emotions or what I want. It's what the market is giving me at the time, every single day. Let's go to crypto. Total crypto market cap, TOTAL. Yes, we're still in a downtrend, but I'm a crypto bull. And what I'm seeing is there is a large MACD histogram momentum that's still in progress. Now, the risk is, what's the good and the bad? The risk is if we reject just like December into January 2026, which was just a couple of months ago, we could have one more bounce, and if it fails, then we could risk of crash. So we're not in a short-term downtrend. We're in a short-term uptrend reversal. We can see high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. So we must hold above 2.3 trillion to try to get to 2.5, 2.6 trillion. Weekly chart still supports my idea, my quote-unquote thesis, because lower low, lower high, lower low. Can we get a double bottom here? Can we get upside down head and shoulders? Can we get uptrend reversal right above the 200 EMA? Because last week I was showing that 4 out of 5 times or 3 out of 4 times when the weekly RSI of crypto hit oversold conditions, like a year later, the entire market went bull. So that's what I'm hoping for here. Not just hope, but I'm playing one of my technical chart strategies. So let's go to Bitcoin, what everybody cares about. BTC USD in the downtrend, death cross, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. In the short term, we're making higher highs and higher lows on the price. we must hold above 69,000. We cannot crash below $65,000 as bull Bitcoin traders and investors. Why? Because that will set the stage for a capitulation crash. So hopefully it doesn't happen. It's very similar to total. Even though the weekly MACD and the weekly RSI hit 30 stochastic, this is the moment of truth, meaning this is what, in my opinion, separates the investors from the traders. Investors were looking at, okay, even though the price is high at 65,000, if Bitcoin was a stock, we would have stock split 100 times or 1,000 times years ago. So this number does not scare me that much. What scares me is if we lose the support of 65,000, that would scare a lot of people. And if we keep capitulating down to 60, 50, 40,000, then people will have massive damage to their investment accounts. But as a trader, right now, the risk to reward, for example, ATR, let's say of 3,000 minimum, is we have this much room to work with here, 4% Bitcoin, up or down. We'll know we're in trouble if we have an 8% Bitcoin move in 1 month. Then there's some kind of problem there if we crash. Meaning if we go down like that, down to this level. But if it holds, we have that much room to just wiggle around on the Bitcoin price. And shorts, they're probably thinking about shorting. But for me as a technical investor, we had the breakout and it's uptrend reversal. So I'm holding right now. I'm holding because of my strategy. And we can try to go 5, 10, 15% on Bitcoin. So can we break above 75,000, actually hold above that? Or will the fundamental news act as our resistance buffer and we crash? So that's the two scenarios I'm playing right now in the market. Ethereum USD is very similar. Ethereum, unfortunately, stuck in this downtrend. Pretty sad to see, but it's reality, downtrending. In the price right now, and we can see the death cross as well. Lower low, weekly lower high, lower low. Can we survive? This is what I'm watching. For example, can Ethereum bounce up to 2,500 or rally to 3,000? Then this is going to be our moment of truth. Can we actually hold that level long term? Or are we going to crash again 6 months from now? Very, very interesting development. Weekly Ethereum, again, we hit that low oversold spot. So for Coinbase chart, let me try to go to a different chart. Say Bitstamp has a little bit more data. So at least for about 10 years of data on the weekly Ethereum chart, we've only hit oversold Ethereum weekly 2 times. But we've had only 2 golden crosses. So Ethereum is not the quote unquote leader Bitcoin is. We have a lot more oversold setups which turned into golden crosses. So this is what I'm saying about being aggressive trader is even though it seems like nothing's possible and that the end is near for crypto, for stocks, is the reality is we bounced off a 3-year or 4-year support level, 1, 2, 3, 4 times already. So if this is true, even if it's 3 out of 4 times success rate, that's greater than 50% chance. That's actually maximum up to 75% chance that we could bounce. And sometimes when we bounce, it'll crash back down. If we get that double bottom, then that's the real one. But it takes like 2 years for that to happen. That's why it seems like it's impossible for crypto to go up right now. But I actually think it's possible because of my experience with the charts and what the charts are telling me. However, what would have a more immediate effect on the market is we need to have this setup, which is like my gold. Everyone knows the golden cross, golden setup. Once we get a weekly golden cross and then we have this type of setup, that's like Zcash 500%. This is Ethereum 500% type of setup. It's not happening right now. So I'm just playing a weekly support level bounce. Okay, let's end this video. XRP on a weekly chart, still downtrending, and we poked above, tried to hit that $1.60 resistance and fell back down, unfortunately. But you can see the weekly momentum is very slowly building. So that's why I'm long right now. Even though it's downtrending very severe, the price from the recent all-time high to now is negative 60% off Ripple. So I'm in. I'm in. It's just I need to make sure I'm not going to get caught in a fake out rally, meaning the best buying spot was February 5th, 2026. There's a lot more buffer room there. I kind of entered in the middle of this whole consolidation area. So it's just at the very beginning stages of a potential bullish reversal right now. I'll put the price in white, right? We can see it consolidated and we just barely broke out of there, out of that symmetrical triangle. So the pullback is not scaring me right now from experience. The pullback could be the start of the higher low to try to make a higher high if the news are good. So my target for XRP is 167 and higher in the next year. Solana, very similar. Solana, we are in the death cross, yes. We are downtrending, yes. Short-term consolidation to the side, yes. Price is negative 60% down from all-time high zone area. Let's say 250, it's negative 65% off still. I like Solana, but is this the perfect spot to buy? No, not really, because the better spot was the flash crash of February 7, 2026. But what I like here is that hitting that oversold condition on Solana, which has not happened since 2023. But what happened in 2023 is for Solana, it crashed an additional negative like 50%, and then it survived. So I have to watch and wait a long time as an investor, 6 months out, to see if we're going to survive or not. Because we could bounce, and if we crash more, I know that it's too early and I have to just keep waiting and waiting. So you can see my mindset is that if I'm trading, I'm looking for low stochastic and then just enter there up to the high stochastic and then close. If I'm meaning oversold, short-term oversold to overbought. If I'm investing, I have to just wait. Monitor the fundamentals, monitor the news, make sure nothing extremely bad is happening specifically for crypto. And for investing crypto, personally, I'm hodling. This is not financial advice. That's just what I'm doing. Because and again, on that Bitcoin weekly chart, let's go to BLX, which is the Bitcoin Liquid Index, which is supposed to contain all the price history of Bitcoin. I could turn off all the indicators. I don't need it. So this is one of my old trading view ideas that after the halvings, Bitcoin price usually goes up, and it takes about 1 year to 2 years to do so. So our last fourth halving, which is about April 24, we're definitely at 2 years. But in terms of a longer trend line, kind of got stuck a little bit. That's why we're hesitating. Kind of got stuck. I just hope we don't crash down. Excuse me, this chart is very wrong on the weekly. It says 100,000 Bitcoin. So we actually, from this chart, we did hit that $75,000 support level. So let me actually redo this. This is critical. This is actually very important. I can't get this wrong. This is like the foundation of my whole thesis idea. Is on a weekly chart on a logarithmic scale. If I take the beginning price of Bitcoin June 2013 and draw a 13 years long trend line, we are very close to that support level. If I draw a slightly closer one, meaning from 8 years trend line on support, we are riding that. We tapped this level. Where's that? 65,000. We're very close to that zone. And then if I lock that in on the top side, you can see that we already hit that resistance point of 125,000, and we crashed down to one of the 8-year support lines. That's why I'm buying. And just because it's a little small, little red here is I can't get scared of that because I studied researched the Bitcoin price so much. That always happens down there at the bottom because shorts are thinking, oh, it's time to destroy Bitcoin, but it's actually, they're not realizing, for example, that we're down 50% on crypto. Once we're down 50% on crypto or more, 75%, can we get this reversal? So we're in the beginning stages of that right now. That's why I'm long. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, I talked a lot, I showed a lot of charts, but this is a little bit more like how I actually do my real research. I look at a lot of charts, sometimes 300 charts a day. I just don't show them all because it's overwhelming. If you like this video, if you learned something, go ahead and consider clicking like, subscribe, notification bell, leave a nice comment. And remember, let's play our strategies, manage risk and manage emotions, and have an open mind to what's happening on the charts and the fundamentals globally. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.